Security can't solve crucial problems when they have to wade through thousands of alerts a day. With ServiceNow, you can easily prioritize and respond to your most crucial business threats. That way you can go from overwhelmed to under control. ServiceNow brings security, risk, and IT together on one platform. Learn more at securityweekly.com/ServiceNow. You want to get the right things done for your security program. Sounds simple, but what are the right things for you? What does done mean? And how are you going to get there? Rapid7 realizes more than anyone how hard this can be. While Rapid7's Insight platform offers you industry-leading vulnerability management and detection and response solutions, their focus is on understanding where you are so that they can help you get where you're going. Visit securityweekly.com/Rapid7 to get started. We are here at the RSAC conference in 2020, of course, and I'm with my good friend Cory Thuen.
Hey,
you
Paul.
are from Gravwell. You are founder and CEO?
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, co-founder. My co-founder Chris, he's sitting right over there behind that camera.
Hi, Chris.
No, it's great to be here. RSA's getting crazier every year.
Yeah.
I don't got to tell you that. You're the one who's talking to everybody who comes through.
No, it's good to see you here. So how long, when did you found Gravwell?
So we incorporated in 2017. We're one of Ron and Cindy Gula, who did Gula Tech Ventures, were one of their portfolio companies. They did some early investment in us, and we've been operating since then, bootstrapping for a few years before that. But so that's kind of the exciting thing. That's honestly our primary mission here. Is I'm kind of recruiting more than trying to get out. So
growing a lot.
So that part's exciting. Just had a couple engineers accept job offers right before I came on the show here.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, super great.
And speaking of engineering and how you design and build a product, one of the things that many struggle with, and I struggled with this in previous roles, is when the user logs into your product for the first time, what do you want them to see? It's very challenging for a lot of reasons. One being there might not be much data there yet. And so now it's an empty dashboard. It'll be pretty tomorrow, right? But that doesn't help people.
Yeah, no, actually that's something that we struggle with. So, Gravwell is a data analytics platform with an unstructured bent to it. So the idea is you can put data in without necessarily having to know what it is. And so it's a little bit closer to something like Splunk and less like an Elastic or a QRadar or something where you have to know things up front. And so to that end, that question is really hard. What do we show them when they first log in? And this is something that I'll fully admit that we've struggled with in the past, because the data could be anything. It could be, so even an empty dashboard that says, it'll be pretty tomorrow, if you put in this exact data, or if you add NetFlow, or if you add syslog of this exact type. And so that's been a struggle. And actually,
and the other struggle, Cory, is if you pre-populate it with test or sample data. I've seen products do that. I hate that. Then I got to go rip that out and put in my own stuff. And did I delete something I wasn't supposed to? Right? There's that whole aspect to it.
Thankfully, we have a really good UX guy who I tried to propose that exact thing. He's like, "You're an idiot. Don't do that." So I'm very happy that he did that, because I think that's kind of the wrong move. It doesn't quite. So that's the thing that we're working on. That's why one of the reasons that we're staffing up some of our engineering, and that's kind of like 2020 for us is about improving that out of the box experience. And making it more friendly to junior analysts.
Right, because you were saying earlier, and I agree with this assessment, there are far less security ninjas than we think there are. When they do exist in an organization, their time is greatly limited. I mean, they've got a lot on their plates, right? And now I think we're getting better at passing that off, but it begs the question, like, who do you want your tool to help? Do the security ninjas really need help with the tool?
Exactly. Actually, for them, and we've gotten great feedback so far, is from people like that, senior analysts, like ninjas. They love the tool because we get it out of the way. Like we're very flexible in the query syntax, so people can get to the root cause, because we always keep the underlying data. So they're fully powered to do their thing. Right. And that's exactly what we built the tool for.
Senior security folks tend to use these things as a tool in arsenal to accomplish specific tasks.
Yeah, you're fusing all kinds of data together, you're investigating stuff, you're doing cool things. But then, the junior analysts, like a security person, should be able to break from the playbook. right?
Yeah.
Playbooks are for junior analysts, people who maybe need a little bit of guidance on where they're going to go and what they're doing. And so that's the kind of thing that we're adding. So, for example, if you put NetFlow in our tool, we're coming out with a NetFlow kit so that when you install the tool, you can say, yes, I'm going to install the NetFlow kit. And then you've got pre-built dashboards. You've got some playbooks that say, okay, if you're investigating an IP address, you can load this or follow this procedure to see who it talked to, what was the frequency, what are the data rates compared to normal, and that kind of a thing. So
yeah, and what I always like to tell junior analysts, and I'm sure you're building this in, is you're looking for least frequently occurring and most frequently occurring events. And there could be, even in just communications to and from a single IP address, multiple frequently, most frequently, and least frequently occurring things, and you show that to them, and that gets them starting to think in that analytics mode, right? Of how do I get to the bottom of what's going on?
Yep, so that's exactly the kind of thing that we do, and even automate some of that's automatable before you get to the human to present them with what they're looking for, and then they can follow the playbook, they can be more successful. Because right now we pretty much drop them on the query prompt and we say, oh, good luck. Because that was one of our assumptions, was that there were more security people who wanted that. But the reality of large organizations is that's just not true. And so,
you know, what's interesting, Cory, is when I had a NetFlow analysis tool that was written in Perl called IP Audit. It was open sourced.
Yeah.
But it was so useful in finding things that were happening on my network because it had views. Like you're going to start building these, right? Like it showed me the top talkers by bandwidth. It showed me the top talkers by number of network connections, right? And just all those like basic stats. We don't have to get fancy. Like these are the top 10 hosts that transmitted the most data in the last 24 hours, right? NetFlow can give you all of that, right?
Yeah, and that's been kind of an interesting thing because when we set out to build this tool, we were really looking for data analytics. We needed something that could do this unstructured data, but then we unexpectedly have been kind of like somebody will put our stuff in and then they'll put network in and then they get to turn off something like that they've had running for a long time, or some other tool that they've got.
That's exactly how I was thinking of it.
Unify the view a little bit more, which I wasn't really expecting either. So that's been kind of cool to see.
And so customers can today customize their own dashboards, or is that a newer feature?
No, absolutely. That's exactly how we work right now. So we're very much built for that power user right now. So
I build the dashboards. I run queries and make them into dashboards. I think I've seen the
and if you're a senior analyst, you know your environment, right? You can easily customize. It's like custom built security analytics or whatever, and we can help you do that. And then you might hand that off to a junior analyst, and then they can use that as a tool in their arsenal. And so we're just adding some pre-builts for known data formats and things. So that's the exciting thing that we're kicking out this year.
And then there's a place to share these dashboards?
Yeah, that's going to be coming. So right now we're in beta for this. So if anybody's interested in participating, you can certainly email us support@gravwell.io if you want to play. Is a good place. But then we're going to have a marketplace so that because the community is pretty important to us. We have a community edition that we do for free, up to 2 gigs a day. If you want more and you see this, definitely email and we'll also change that for you as well. With the idea being, the community can help learn and support from each other and build like playbooks for common stuff. And so we're going to be coming out with some of these, but we want to enable educators or college.
Well, now when we say marketplace, will there be the ability to charge, or this is just a place to share, correct?
Primarily a place to share initially. We've had some people ask about the charging thing. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, but I recognize that if somebody creates a whole kit or whatever, and it takes a lot of time, and so that's a lot of their intellectual property or secret sauce, and so we want to enable them to be successful too. So I'm actually open for comment on that part right now. But that's what we want to turn it into. Certainly is the goal.
Awesome. When I look at the cloud in logs, my head spins because I'm learning the cloud, specifically AWS, right? And so would I deploy Gravwell up into the cloud and then like take a Cloud Watch or Cloud Trail and plug it in? Like how does that work?
Yeah, you can do that. So one of the interesting assumptions that we thought was going to be true when we come up with this was that we thought, oh yes, there's a clear shift to the cloud for everybody. Everybody's doing that, and that's certainly true. But there's
not as much as you think, right?
No, there's a tremendous amount of stuff that's going to be on-prem
for a long time.
forever or it'll never move, especially in like the OT space or anything cyber physical, medical. You've got a certain amount of stuff that's just going to be on-prem by nature.
Yes.
So there we're really strong because we are deployable on-prem. All our stuff is written in Go, so it's super easy to. We have somebody who carries around on a thumb drive, and then they'll drop it in their cluster, and now they've got 100 nodes of analytics stuff, and they're doing hundreds of terabytes a day worth of stuff.
That's awesome.
Just as their easy deploy thing.
Right.
But then so you want to be able to deploy cloud on-prem and really unify the different data sources. That's what we're all about, is creating an opportunity to combine those things. So we have customers who are doing, like they use CloudWatch or like a messaging bus to kind of collect their information and get that into more of an agnostic form, which is certainly a best practice in my opinion. I shouldn't say that because it prevents us from being locked in, right? There are certain, that's kind of the way the industry's been done so far, is like use our agent. And then if you ever want to switch, well, now you got to rip out all your data ingestion and your analytics and your whatever. But we're not all about that. We think that the best practice really should be you should be in control of like your message bus, whether it's like a Kafka or something like that, right? And then you can feed the analytics from there. And then
so your Gravwell is not agent based, or is it?
It's kind of like Elastic Beats or whatever. We have an open source agents. Agents is a strong word for it, because really, like our Windows agent, literally all it does is look at the Windows event logs and ships them. So if you use the Windows event forwarder, then that's fine. But at some point, it has to get into our system. So that's when we say agent, that's what it is. Just collectors.
Then, of course, you can collect it via syslog and other mechanisms.
So we can either take it from a push, or we can pull based on the different data types, or hook up to a Apache Stream or something like that. So
gotcha. Cool.
Yeah. So because that's one of our biggest strengths, is being able to take anything without having to know necessarily what it is, and then it's at search time where you can massage and manipulate and whatever. Which really is where that power flexibility comes from, because you might not know what you're looking for right now. And if you normalize that data into some standard format, like anytime you translate, you're losing information. And so we want to be able to enable people to do the root cause and always get the full beta data that they've got. So that's an important core tenet to how and that was why we made a data lake, because there wasn't really something other that did time series unstructured data in a really awesome way that we could scale out.
So I like it. Can it consolidate all of my cloud logs for me and let me easily search through them to pluck things out, like events and things like that? Right.
That's the idea. You get the events from the cloud stuff, whether you've got microservices up there running, or if you're doing Kubernetes or something. That's going to be coming out later as well. We're trying to get some stuff like Helm charts put together so that it's a lot easier for people to deploy and plug into that logging infrastructure, so that you don't have to worry about it. Right. That's kind of the whole point of this type of technology. Is I don't want to worry about it. I just give me the logs or the events that come out, and then combine that with your on-prem.
People tell me logging in Kubernetes is really weird.
Yeah, it's a different animal, and I'll confess, I haven't played with it super directly myself. I'm just dabbling at the moment, but our guy who knows it he's a cool guy. He was telling us, it would be the goal. Is logging isn't as straightforward as it seems like, because you've got all these ephemeral things in there, they're growing and shrinking and stuff. So it's not as easy as I do syslog and then it comes out.
Yeah, because there's different ways to build the containers to get the logs, right? The way Amazon does it in some circumstances is you just log to standard out, and Amazon grabs those and puts them in CloudWatch or CloudWatch.
Yeah, CloudTrail or
CloudWatch. Yeah, and then you can conceivably take that and put it in the Gravwell solution, right?
Yeah, I was listening to your guys' show. What was it, last week? You were talking about all this stuff, and I realized, wow, I don't know as much about ABS as I thought I did, because you're talking about this, these idiosyncrasies and all the little edge cases, right? It's like everybody's got a different lane of expertise, and that's kind of one of the things that we're trying to help people with too. And nobody knows everything. Right, so we want to be able to kind of get the central place where we can share and help each other and grow teams.
Yeah, and what I like about that is I can have on-premise, I can be in the cloud, but having a central point where you're normalizing all that data for me. Doesn't need to be in a specific format. That's your thing, That's what I need when I go test out.
Not normalizing.
Not normalizing, sorry. Collecting.
Yes, collect.
Regardless of format.
We're grabbing it. Yep, and get in one spot.
But that's what I need when I'm going, I want this cloud service, I want that cloud service, maybe I'm spinning this up, and we all are using lots of different technology today, and this is a great solution to be able to collect all that down and let me analyze it.
Yeah, and then that's always going to be true, because one of the things, I think it was Cyber Mike Tyson, who said everybody has out of the box until they get punched in the mouth. Is that the right quote?
Let's just go with that.
Because it's like, I've got this. Oh, this is, whether it's like a chunk of the MITRE ATT&CK framework or whatever, it's like, this is this exact thing. We solve this. As long as you meet, this requirement and this requirement and this requirement and this requirement, and then, heaven help if you try and go over here and do something a little weird. If you act in an unexpected way, which, that's exactly what attackers do. That's why cybersecurity is a thing, is because they act in unexpected ways.
Yeah.
So being able to have that flexibility is something that's core to us as well, that we're going to keep forever. So even as we add some of these out of boxes, it's not going to be like a thing where you have to stay within the ruts, and if you go out, it's going to break your everything.
Right, that's important.
Yeah. So
like I said, the technology changes so fast, and there's so much new technology, especially in the cloud, that, as we've established, not a lot of people have really tapped into as many as we think. Right.
Yep.
And so I think it's important for troubleshooting and security and just general system health to consolidate this data in one place.
I think so. I think so, because it's all over the place. You've got your devices, mobile devices, and in the cloud stuff, and on-prem, and whatever. So having a place to put it, unify it, be able to look through it all at once, puts you in a much better spot.
Yeah. I like it. And see, now in talking, I'm like, I want to put it up in my cloud now.
Yeah,
my cloud
put a little bit of cloud in there and everything.
Some cloud, a little bit of VPC,
and also we're seeing some of that stuff in, because I think the talk about the convergence of IT and OT is something that's is clearly coming. There was some debate like over the last couple of years about whether that was going to happen or whether they should be separate. But it seems like that's obviously where things are going there too. So that, again, more of that unified, because there are so few cybersecurity resources. So having things siloed out is rough. When you have one team who covers this, but then this team over here, but they're both trying to hire people, and there aren't enough people to hire necessarily. Trying to figure out how to enable everybody to work together for some of that stuff is, because I don't know an organization that feels like they have all the cybersecurity people that they would absolutely love and that they're really excited about.
Well, and what's nice about the newer features you're building in is in the solutions that I love in our industry are ones where I've got operations people, I've got sysadmins, developers, network people, security people, and we're all looking at the same dashboard. If we can all agree to send our logs to Gravwell and build dashboards for each other, that's awesome.
I'll tell you what, and the way that we do pricing, like our whole thing is like it's unlimited ingest. Just put whatever you want in there, right? So because we have some customers who there's a customer who their DevOps team uses us for DevOps only. The security team has a competitor, but they won't let the DevOps team put their information in the analytics tool, and they're fighting about it internally. It's like more of this siloing. Because it costs more to put it in, or because they're
what I don't like about that is you're de-incentivizing a customer to use your product by putting those barriers in. Like, I can't use that because it's going to cost too much money. I love the disruptors like yourselves that are coming in with newer licensing models and be like, we want you to use it. Use it as much as you want.
Yeah, we got burned by that personally, and that was kind of almost the fire under our butt that really got us going on this. We're like, this sucks. It doesn't have to be this way. This is, especially, clearly every company, we're just getting more and more data. Every company is a data company now.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. So we wanted to enable that. And so that's, all our pricing model is built, and the tech is built around that way. So you want to shove more stuff in it, go for it. It's
fantastic.
We put more things in people's control where it matters, and then help take things away that are just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that's very awesome. So we've got a couple of things. The landing page is securityweekly.com/Gravwell. You can go there, find all of our segments, including a link to register for the upcoming webcast. You can also go to the website, click the webcast drop-down menu, and very soon-ish there will be a link there to register. So check that frequently, and we're going to have an entire webcast
we're gonna
about logging and see demos and dashboards.
Be more practical about this unifying aspect, especially talking about cloud. So maybe that's what we can do on the webcast. We'll just take your stuff and put it in there.
Let's do it. I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
I like getting hands-on and doing actual practical things.
And you'll see that in the webcast, so make sure you tune in.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Welcome, everyone, to RSA 2020. We're here in Broadcast Alley, and with me for this interview is Dan DeCloss. He's the founder and CEO of Plextrac.
Hey, thanks,
Welcome.
Paul. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
The best pen test reporting software on the planet, and expanding into other areas. I feel like you have two separate kind of audience. So like if you're a pen tester and you don't like writing reports, which is, I believe, every pen tester on the planet. I've never met a penetration tester that likes writing reports.
Yeah,
put it that way.
I'm anxious to meet one.
Yeah. Okay. But so this tool is great for having a standard report template, as you've seen some of our previous segments on the show. But also, I'm finding that your product is very applicable to enterprise teams that essentially want to collect data about, I'll use the term exposures, right?
Sure.
And be able to collaborate on remediation of those exposures. Did I capture that?
Yeah. I think we're finding some good traction in the enterprise space where you have like an internal assessment team, whether that's a pen test team or doing vulnerability scans, or even some of the GRC functions like risk assessments and things like that, where they can streamline that collaboration between those assessments and the people actually needing to find and fix the issues, right? And so that's all of our mission, right? Is to really speed up the process and streamline, improving your security posture, right? Because my background, having been on both sides of that fence, is like there's too much stuff in the way. We need to get more signal and less noise and really focus on collaborating quickly and getting these things fixed, right?
And I know on the surface this sounds like a really boring question about assigning roles inside the software to specific users. And I know it's kind of like, we think of that as really a boring kind of exercise, but it's super important, right, to have. Because what I find the difference between, free and open source and something you could script together yourself versus a commercial product is the ability to have that role-based access control, which is required to be able to share this data amongst teams and have them take actions and control permissions based on role.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so the ability to say like, hey, this team only needs access to this report, and these people only need to be able to just provide status updates. Like, we don't want them changing the actual findings, right, that the red team reported, because that needs to kind of stand as a system of record as well. So, that we run into that a lot too in terms of the build versus buy, where they want to do something internal and they've built it, and then the guy leaves that wrote it, and so no one knows how to support it, and now they're kind of stuck, right?
Right.
So, we really encourage people, like, there is a total cost of ownership with whatever solution you decide to go with.
In terms of getting data about exposures into Plextrac, is that, we interview people that are working on logging and solving the SIM and logging problem. And that seems to me pretty, because we have syslog, right?
Right.
But there's what's the equivalent of syslog for vulnerability data, right? Like, maybe XML, but I guess it's APIs, right, that you're hooking in to bring that data in. Is that,
we will.
You find people doing that? Or
definitely people will use our API to write their own integrations with their, scanners or whatnot. Right today, we support all the XML imports, that the testers are finding.
So manually, so I've got a Nessus scan report in XML format, and I can import that manually.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to move into APIs.
Exactly. Like, we have several customers that are on Security Center or Veracode and things like that. So we're working on those API integrations to make that automated, and even trying to branch into like the playbooks, right, where it's like as some automated functionality is like, as these findings come in, execute some certain things like, okay, change the severity because we know this one is, not as applicable in our environment because of the controls we have in place, right? So, because every vulnerability scanner is going to provide.
That's really interesting.
It lacks the context.
Yeah, because so if I run a vulnerability scan and it finds this particular vulnerability, but what you're saying is there's a playbook running maybe in my SOAR that goes, hey, like, I'm remediating that, so go adjust the vulnerability priority or severity rather, right?
Yeah. And
That's really cool.
You can do that by default within Plextrac today, but tying into those more advanced playbooks is part of our goal too, so that really it helps streamline the whole process, right? From the tester that needs to spend more time hacking and less time reporting, and collaborating with the blue team that's going to try and actually fix the stuff that they find.
When you're collecting and tracking all of this data, I would imagine that the reports that would go up to like a CISO level is probably a really big feature, right?
Yeah.
To help, I mean, not just the CISOs, but help the teams go, oh, I need to just collect and summarize all this and distill it down at a very high level.
Right. Yeah. So we can do a number of things there. We have an analytics module where you can get some of that data. We have a tagging capability where you can break down by however you've classified your data. But then you can also export to like a custom looking template. So you can make your Word document look really nice. And this is handy for the pen test teams as well, where it's still that kind of that catchy looking template that you've made to have your logo and branding and have any information in there that you want. And really the world's your oyster with that template. You can create it however you want to look. So it could go to the board, it could go to stakeholders, it could go to external auditors, those kinds of things. So.
And you can have custom report templates for all of your different audiences,
Exactly.
right? So I'm leading the penetration testing team, and we're collecting all this data, and auditing's coming to me and they want a report. CISO's coming to me, they want a report. Maybe another group, sysadmins or whatever, like they want a report, and I can have a custom template for everybody.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So it works really well to be able.
Where were you in like 2007? I could have used this when I worked for the university. I was doing all these scans, and there was some open source software out there that was, I remember, being pretty awful for managing scan data and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it was obviously a huge pain point of mine, and I couldn't find anything else that really did the trick, and so just decided to write it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the newer features that above and beyond the API support that we talked about?
Yeah. So we just released another white paper. I think last time I was on, we were getting ready to release it. So around effective purple teaming, right? And so being able to do that. But some of the new features in the product include asset management, right? So being able to actually track assets and the number of findings across different reports. So if you have the same finding in two different reports, it'll show up as one instance of that finding for that asset. So really being able to enhance the analytics on the asset piece has been a big feature. We've also had a lot of improvement in just our questionnaire-based assessments. We've been getting a lot of requests for like, hey, I want to send out a questionnaire for third-party risk management or vendor management, or even just some internal self-assessments, those kinds of things. Building things out to other frameworks too, like the CMMC, which is becoming a pretty important topic in especially in like the DoD contracting space or federal contracting space. So we're really enhanced the ability to do those kinds of assessments and questionnaires all in the same platform as well.
That's awesome. I love the asset tracking. It's so important for organizations to be able to track those assets. And by that, I'm assuming you mean like anything that's coming in, you associate with an asset.
Yep. So like if you bring in a Nessa scan, that's another big feature. So we got a lot of requests to import Nmap. We just never had written an Nmap parser. We're like, that should be simple, right?
Should be pretty easy, right?
Yep. So we wrote in an Nmap parser. So like if you just want to start using it as your asset management database, you can start to do that as well. And then any scan that you bring in into any report within the context of a client, it'll associate those vulnerabilities with that asset. So you really start to help view the vulnerabilities in two different ways. One vulnerability and it lists all the assets, or you can list the asset that has all the vulnerabilities associated with it. And then you can also apply metadata to those assets, like the criticality, the who owns it, the physical location. Like, so some users like to know, like, hey, this person owns it, but it's actually located in Germany, right? And things like that. So being able to have that metadata that you can then, have more drill down on the analytics pieces.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
How do people acquire this product?
Yeah. So you can just go to our website at plextrac.com and request a demo, and then we'll run through the demo, learn about like what your use case might be, and then we can set you up on a free trial. We deploy in multiple ways, so you can either have a tenancy in our multi-tenant cloud, or you can deploy on-premise, or even have a private hosted where we host it, but it's still dedicated to you as a user.
And I can host it in my own cloud too.
Yep,
I'm assuming,
exactly. Right? Yep. So that's what we consider our on-prem. So most our on-prem customers are putting it in their own private cloud.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that's actually really encouraging, right? We talk about the adoption of cloud, so it's good to hear that. In your particular case, you're finding that people deploy into the cloud.
Yeah, and it works really well. And the people that are doing that are using it as a client portal, right? Where they can, let their customers, whether that's an internal, business unit within their company or their actual own clients that they're consulting with, let them log in and be able to track their findings and manage their findings through the portal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much. Of course, if people want to learn more, you can go direct to the website. We also have a landing page set up at securityweekly.com/Plextrac. And that'll have all the content that we've done with Dan and team. I think it's just been you so far in the content. But you can find it all there at securityweekly.com /even Plextrac. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you.